my friends, my name is AJ and welcome back to my book nook. Today is the return of a series that I have not touched on in a while, and that is my Canadian Author Spotlight series. If you have watched one of these videos before, you know how this series works. I take a look at some lesser known or lesser appreciated Canadian authors and highlight one of their books that I've read. Oftentimes it's one of their debut novels, but sometimes it can be others. And I have not done one of these in a while. I am going to be doing something a little bit different today because I'm not looking at just one book by this author. I'm looking at three. And the reason for that is because they are the first three books in a middle grade fantasy series called the Legend of Rhyme series by Jamie Lee Mann. So Jamie Lee Mann is a copywriter and ghostwriter from Prince Edward Island. And back in 2014, she pitched her first children's book to her publishers, and they liked her idea so much they wanted to publish her middle grade fantasy series. And so in 2015, the first book in her Legend of Rhyme series, Allura of Stone, was published. These books actually came from stories that she would tell her daughters as bedtime stories, and they loved them so much they wanted to hear more of them, and it became an entire world. Now, as I mentioned, these are middle grade novels, so as I'm going to be talking a little bit about them and a little bit about what makes them special, I am going to be looking at them from the perspective of middle grade novels. I'm not going to be basing these off of the standards that I would hold for a young adult novel. So let's dive right in with the first three books of the Legend of Rhyme series. The first, of course, being Allura of Stone. This book tells the story of the kingdom of Falmore, where the evil wizard Lark has been kidnapping one twin of every pair of twins born in the kingdom. The good witch Allura has been turned to stone on the island of Rhyme and has been unable to stop his thievery. This story focuses on twins Ariana and Asher, who grow up on the island of Rhyme, where Lark's evil abilities cannot reach them. Because of this, Asher is not taken as a baby, but is instead taken as a 4-year-old. He goes missing, the parents believe that he is dead, but his sister Ariana, several years later, discovers that he is alive and that she has to find him to help break the curse on Falmore. Now, I will say the first half of this book is pretty slow. There is a lot of setup. Instead of focusing first on Ariana and Asher, we focus on their parents as children, their parents meeting for the first time, their parents setting up an arranged marriage between the two of them. There is a lot of backstory, which in this specific book doesn't seem relevant. As you get into later books, you will see that there is some stuff that is set up in this that does become relevant in later books in the series, which I was actually really impressed by, because you don't really see that in a lot of middle grade novels where there is this setup for 2 books down the line in the first book in the series, and I was really impressed by that. Now, that's the first half of the book. A lot of setup, a lot of backstory for the Kane family. However, once you get to the second half of the book, the action starts coming very quickly. There is some big fight scenes. It's very intense. It is a really, really cool book, and I really enjoy the second half a lot. It had a lot of action, a lot of fun, and that final fight scene has this completely shocking plot twist, which again, I was really impressed by, because most middle grade novels are fairly straightforward of this is the bad guy and we're gonna stick to that. You don't really see a lot of those plot twists at the end. But that was, that's all I'm gonna say about that, because if you do wanna get this book, I'm not gonna spoil anything more. The second book in the series is Into Correra, and this book is in the aftermath of Allura of Stone. The evil one has been banished and sent to the Dark Realm, but in doing so, the twins have accidentally opened up the world to the possibility of a new, stronger evil who is threatening not only the kingdom of Falmore, but now the land of magic, Correra. The twins also discover that they have magical abilities and they have to try and learn how to master these skills to save Correra and their own home. This one dives a lot more into the lore of the world, the backstory of magic, the world building, the rules of the magic system, which I really, really liked. I felt like we got a lot more backstory to the magic side, whereas in Allura of Stone, we got more of the backstory of their family. I found this a lot more interesting. There wasn't a whole lot of build-up at the beginning. you dive right into the action. And I really, really liked that. I thought it was a really great way to introduce them. I think I would have loved this book as a kid. We're also introduced in this book to a character by the name of Starla, who is a mermaid, and I really wish we had gotten to see more of Starla. I'm gonna be real with you. I really do. We do get a little bit more of Starla in the third book, and I'm assuming probably the future books as well. As I mentioned, I only read the first 3. I really wish we'd gotten more of her in this book as well. She's a super cool character. She's got like magical powers. She sort of rules the sea magic world, which again, very cool. And then we have Tegan of Tomorrow, which is the 3rd book in the Legend of Rhyme series. This book sees Ariana and Asher now sent into the future, into 2015, very Back to the Future-esque. We see them now trapped in this future, not having the same strength over their magic after having dealt with the previous magical threat. We also meet this girl named Tegan, who is a mysterious girl in foster care who discovers that she herself has a connection to the island of Rhyme and the world of Corera. I thought this was really, really interesting to bring sort of the real world, especially because in the real world sections, we see that people have heard the stories of Rhyme. They've heard the stories of the past, and they think that they're legends, and they sort of made it into a tourist attraction, which I thought was very, very interesting to see that combination. Normally, when you see a world where magic is brought in to the real world, you see people kind of not believing it's real like you do here, but you don't see them embracing the stories as much as sort of legend surrounding the town, which I thought was a really, really fun choice. I also think that Tegan was a very interesting character. The way she faces off against the villain of this book is very clever, and I really enjoyed that. It was very unique. The one thing I will say is there is this setup of the villain and sort of this curse that comes and drains Rhyme and Corera of its color, and I felt that we really didn't get that much of an explanation of it, and I feel like it could have benefited from a little bit more focus on that. But having said that, I do think it was a really, really cool read. So, what are my final thoughts? I thought that these 3 books are really, really good. I haven't read the other books in the series, so if any of you have, you'll have to let me know if any of my requests of more Starla, more into certain backstories gets fulfilled. But I thought this was a really great introduction to the series. I love how they've got these very cute little sketches. I'm gonna try and find one. Yeah, there we go. So there's our evil wizard Lark right there. I love the little sort of pencil sketches for the artwork. I thought that was adorable, and it definitely really embraces the coziness and the aspect of this being a bedtime story before it became a novel. I think that really makes it this humility that I really love about it. I also think that it's really, really great that it's the women who are sort of the mother of magic of Corera, you know? Ariana, who's gonna be the one who's gonna be in charge one day. And I love that. I love that instead of having it passed down to the sons of the family, it's passed down to the daughters of the family. I thought that was really, really cool and something that you don't really see a lot. I think this is a fantastic middle grade series if you're looking to introduce, say, kid you know to fantasy. It's complex enough that it, you know, lets you think a little bit. It has some plot twist, it has some setups that come up later, but it's not so complex that it's difficult to understand. I also just think that the characters are just really fun. It's a really cool story, and it really lets you dive into the idea of world building without being too complex, like giving a 10-year-old one of the Lord of the Rings novels, which are gonna have a lot of world building. It's a great way to introduce them. So yeah, if you have any kids in your life who you think would want to read a fun new fantasy series or just introduce them to fantasy, this is a great series to start them on. But that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. Have you read any of the Legend of Rhyme novels? Has this video made you want to check them out? And of course, I will leave any sort of links to socials or websites for Jamie Lee Mann, the author of the Legend of Rhyme series, down in the description below, so you can go and show her some love. But that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see all of you lovely people in the next video. Bye!